Assalamu alaikum. In this demo, I will be discussing S3 security using bucket policies and ACLs. Now, coming over towards ACLs, let's have a look at at the permissions in this bucket. We can see that all sort of public access is blocked, right? So, which means that I cannot access the public cannot access the objects that are stored inside this bucket. Only the object owner, the one who has uploaded the object into this bucket, would be able to access these objects. So let's have a look at this. Now, for example, this is my object. Let me open. Okay, let's open this one. Now, as I'm the owner of this object, I can view this object and download the object from here. But if I get its URL and try to access it publicly, I would not be able to access it. I think something's wrong with the internet. The internet is very slow. Apologies for that. Yeah. Okay, the internet is very slow. All right. So let's have a look. Let's try to access this object via its public URL. Yeah. As you can see that I'm not able to access this object because as we saw that the public access is disabled in the ACLs. Now, if I go towards its permission and I go towards its ACL, right? Even if I try to edit this, I would not be able to edit its ACL because as it is blocked from the bucket level, I cannot edit these individual ACLs, right? And if, let's try upload something. Let's see, maybe oh, okay, I forgot something that I wanted to mention. Anyways, let's upload something else. Let's upload this. Okay, so even if I go towards the permissions and I want to specify individual objects, let's see. Okay, now apparently it shows that we can grant public access, but as you will see, we won't be able to do so. This will generate an error because this is blocked from the bucket level. You see, the upload failed because I tried to make make this object public. The upload failed because public access is disabled at the bucket level, right? Now, in order to enable public access, I would need to go to the bucket and go to its permissions and then turn off all sort of public access. Now, okay, so now that public access has been enabled, I can update this. I can update its permissions. Now, let's try to update. See, I am now allowed to update these permissions and save changes. And now I would be able to access this URL, which of course, like for example, this one was not allowed. Now let me refresh this. See, and now this object is accessible, and this is only accessible because I have changed its access control list. Right? Even if I try to get another object, for example, this image. No, okay, no. Let's try to get this object. I should not be able to access this object. Yeah, because why? Because in its ACLs, it is the public access has not been enabled, and only I would only I can I in order for it to be enabled, I need to individually enable it. Even though this is enabled at the bucket level, however, I need to enable it from the object level as well. Now, if I try to upload an object, let's see, let's go with this one. Now I'll have to uh, specifically allow public access to this object in its ACL. So by default, I have this is private. Public access has not been enabled in its ACL. Now let's try to get this object via its URL. So I should not be able to access it. See, I am not able to access it uh, because in its ACL, because in the object's ACL, public access has been denied. Okay, so Now let's come towards uh, the bucket policies. So in order to demonstrate this, I would need to create a new bucket. So let's create a bucket. I shall call this bucket. So, okay, what is the previous add? S3 bucket 2. I shall call this. Okay, let's call it bucket. Bucket for encryption. Okay, so ACLs are disabled. Hot public access is blocked. Versioning is disabled, etc. etc. Now, I am disabling default encryption. Uh, mhm, okay. I wanted to disable default encryption because I think the policies has been S3's policy has been changed where default encryption cannot be denied. Let me have a look at this and come back. All right, so I've been able to come up with a use case. Now let's create this bucket, and public access will be denied. Actually, it took me about an hour or maybe 2 hours just to come up with this use case because I tried a number of things which are not working. So finally, this one is working. So I'll start with this. Just wait a minute. All right, so we'll enable SSE S3 encryption by default, and the policy that we will create will only allow objects that are using SSE S3 to be uploaded in this bucket. And if any object uses another type of encryption, for example, if they use AWS KMS, that object won't be allowed to be uploaded in the bucket. So this is the use case that I'm targeting right now. Let's get done with the bucket. All right, so my bucket is there. We can have a look that in the properties that the encryption standard that we're using is S3 managed keys. Now let me create a permission policy. Okay, so I have the policy over here, which is simply using server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys. So only the objects that are using this would be allowed inside my bucket. And let's save the changes and apply the policy. Okay, so the policy is active. Okay, now, okay, because I'm going to upload an object with using KMS, so I don't have a KMS key available right now. So I'm just making a little key, just with the default settings and just finishing up. The key name is test key, I guess. Just let me finish this. Okay, so this is my key, and the current policy that I have is it will only allow S3 server-side encryption which use AES-256, even though this is the same standard used by KMS, and but however in this scenario it would only allow objects that are using SSE S3 to be uploaded. Now let's go back to my bucket, and I'll try to upload an object using another standard. Okay, now let's try to upload this. Go towards the permissions, and I'm gonna specify an encryption key. I'm gonna use KMS, and I'm gonna choose from my own KMS keys that I've just defined. So this is my test key that I've defined right now. And okay, this is it. I'll try to upload this object. This should not work. Yeah, no, the upload failed. Why? Because it will only allow objects that have SACS3 to be uploaded. Now let's close this, and I'm gonna upload object. Uh, I'm gonna see use bucket settings, which is Amazon AWS S3. Okay, use SAC S3. And I'm gonna upload this, and it should work. Yeah, see, it works. As the policy defines that only the objects that have this encryption should be allowed, and the other objects should not be there. This took me quite some time because I was trying to look for a solution. I think this is it for the demo.